The Cowboys OT is brought to you by Sleep Number. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com, trusted by millions, trusted by America's team. And NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.
For the first time since 2018, the dessert table will taste a little bit sweeter tonight for Cowboys Nation as they serve up a big W on Thanksgiving. 28-20 the final score from AT&T Stadium, and this is Cowboys OT from the Star in Frisco as we break it all down for you alongside three former Cowboys, Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans, and we welcome you in to the First Word presented by Dr. Pepper, as we will give you everything you need to know over the next hour about this Cowboys win over the New York Giants. Their first win on Thanksgiving since 2018, and in doing so, they are now solely into second place in the NFC East, and it really started from the third quarter on. The Cowboys actually trailed at halftime 13-7, but blanked the Giants pretty much up until garbage time.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this, to me, was a good team win overall. I feel like the offense started off slow, like you mentioned, but second half came around, 21 unanswered points by Dak Prescott and this offense. You see he started to get that connection with CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Noah Brown out there as well. The running game was a good part of this offense as well. Ezekiel Elliott got to go out there, got his touches, got his thing going with the tenderizer. Then you had Pollard out there doing what he usually does, is that explosive weapon for this offense. Defensively, I think they tried to get a lot of pressure, but Dayball, he did a good job of making sure he got the most out of Daniel Jones out there, moving him around the pocket, moving this offense around, making sure he wasn't a statue in the pocket for these defensive linemen to tee off on. But overall, I believe it was a great team win for the Cowboys, 8-3. On to the next one.
You know, the New York Giants, they came out hot, man. They was on fire, but the Cowboys were sleepwalking. Yeah. But I just believe that as long as Dak is around 31 pass attempts and we 7 for 11 on third downs, I always think we're going to be in games. We was 33 minutes plus on time of possession. Like you say, our running game kept us in there. Our defense kept us in early. And at the end of the game, man, they were fresh, and Michael Parsons got his 2, Armstrong got his 1. This is how the Cowboys work, complementary
football.
Yes.
It is.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you.
You were just trying to think of a Thanksgiving reference. That's what you were trying to
looking
find.
for that song.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
East side. Dallas Cowboys took care of business today, y'all. They went out here, took care of the Giants. We knew that the Giants were not equal. The records were equal, but they were not the same team. These guys are they have substantially more talent on both sides of the ball in all three facets of the game. The fact that they were able to remain in this game for as long as they did is actually very surprising. Actually, I give them a day bowl with his ravished offensive line. I give him a lot of kudos for that. But I think that these guys are stepping above what the Giants presented today. Defense played well. Offense was able to move the ball on the ground. Freaky Zeke was back. It was great to see him running the ball hard. And Tony Pollard played a complimentary back that he always has been. When he's been called upon to step up, he has. Dak has some good throws in there. As you mentioned, Barry, CeeDee Lamb is starting to get in sync with him. He's starting to make some big plays like the number 1 receiver that we expect him to be. Still a couple miscommunications offensively that actually obviously turned into a couple of interceptions, but overall, good dub.
This was a good dub for the Cowboys because, like you said, it goes back to what Nate was saying. This is the blueprint for Cowboys wins. You don't overstretch your limits at the quarterback position. You run the football effectively with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, and then you turn around, you just have dominant defense. When this defense needed to step up at its best, following a big 14-play, 75-yard drive to open the third quarter, they did just that. Outside of the final couple seconds of the fourth quarter, they blanked the Giants in the second half. There was no offensive rhythm, and that was a credit to what the adjustments were for Dan Quinn and the defensive staff at halftime.
Yeah, like we talked about it in the pregame show. The key and what makes this defense so special, at least in my opinion, is the waves upon waves. I mean, I keep talking about it, but the waves upon waves that they're able to throw at opposing quarterbacks. You got Parsons, you got Armstrong, D-Law out there as well. They were able to swarm and make sure Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley didn't take over this game. When the second half half came around, they put their foot on their throats and made them realize, hey, we're not in the same league as the Dallas Cowboys. And that's what they need to do. That's what winning teams do. They go out there and win the games that they're supposed to win. This was just another one, and hopefully they can continue that for the rest of the season.
21 attempts, 90 yards by the Giants. I mean, a great job. These guys tackled. They came downhill. Damone Clark made a few plays. Y'all guys talked about him earlier. He did what he had to do in replacing a bar. Just a great job by the defense.
Yeah. We might have to retitle the defense called the Beehive. You keep talking about swarming. These boys are swarming all over the place. I know they had Swiper, but we were swarming, okay? But the thing is, we kept these guys at 27% on third down conversions, kept them under 100 yards rushing. As soon as we do that, we hold these teams to having to pass the ball, and we talk about it all the time. As soon as you're in a position where you have to drop back and throw the ball against the Dallas Cowboys, y'all messed up Ron, because that's what things bad are going to turn for you, because these guys can get after you over and over and over again with the ways that Barry Church already told you guys about.
Yeah, Micah Parsons, another multi-sack game. We'll see a couple of those when we come back on Cowboys OT, because guess what? We've got highlights on how the Cowboys came out on top, 28-20. That does it for the first word. Continue with us on the television side of things when we come back with more Cowboys OT.
This segment is brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back into Cowboys OT from the Star in Frisco. 28-20, the final score as the Cowboys take down the New York Giants for the second time this season and improve to 8-3 on the campaign. Back here with Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Let's take a look at how this one unfolded from the get-go. Of course, a Thanksgiving matchup, a tradition for the Dallas Cowboys. It's actually the 16th time that New York Giants have played on Thanksgiving as well. They're pretty comfortable in that area as well. Dallas faced an early 4th and 2. They elect to go for it, and instead of finding the first, Ezekiel Elliott finds his old friend Jalen Smith. This was kind of a dicey call early on, Isaiah.
I did not like the call. You saw Jalen Smith. The last thing we wanted to see was him swiping, but there he was.
There he was, and there's Dak Prescott throwing down over the field. That's the final play of the first quarter, because that first play resulted in a field goal. New York led 3-0. On the first play of the second quarter, Zeke makes the cut for 6. Dallas takes a 7-3 lead. That was an 11-play, 93-yard drive for Dallas. New York on the answer. Daniel Jones, he wants the deep ball, and he's certainly going to get it this time. Going to the right side for Darius Slayton over the top of Anthony Brown, all the way down to the 1-yard line, Barry.
Yeah, Daniel Jones did a great job standing in the pocket. He knew he wasn't going to get hit. Threw a great ball up to Slayton. He went on top of my boy Anthony Brown's head. He got mossed on that one, but the defense would come back.
That put him at the goal line. 2 plays later, Saquon Barkley punches it in, and the Giants are on top 10-7. That looked like an early lead for the Giants, but Dallas was driving after the 2-minute warning, but not for long. Dak Prescott picked off by Julian Love at the second level. That was his second interception of the game. This one cost the Cowboys points because they were easily in field goal range. And then as time expired in the second quarter, Graham Gano knocks it through, giving the Giants a 6-point lead, 13-7, heading into the halftime break. Opening drive of the third quarter, the ground game and timely penalties setting up Dalton Schultz for the score. It was a 14-play, 75-yard drive capped off by Dalton Schultz. That one-handed grab in the end zone certainly helped things out to get down the field, because look at this one-handed grab here. C.D. Lamb on the sideline. Pass interference was called, but my goodness, he made a phenomenal catch here to even set things up for Dak Prescott to throw it again to Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz gets into the end zone for his second time, as again it increases the Dallas Cowboys lead. After another defensive stop, Dallas back in the red zone and back to the tight ends too, this time to Peyton Hendershot, and he gathers all his tight end buddies around for a little bit of whack a tight end. How about that? The third touchdown of the game, all 3 going through to the tight ends. This is one of my favorite celebrations I think I've ever seen in an NFL football game at any point in the season. Giants trying to get back on track, but not for long. Micah Parsons, his 2nd sack of the year and his 9th multi-sack game of his career. Nate, he was again phenomenal for the Dallas defense.
That's the man. That's just pure, sheer speed, my friend. He didn't even touch him. Sack master.
That really put the Giants in a tough hole on a drive where they needed points late. On 4th and 9, Daniel Jones forced a low pass off of the pressure. He got hit as he threw it, almost intercepted, but either way, it was a turnover on downs. Now, the Giants would tack on a touchdown later, but that was all she wrote. The Cowboys had it well in hand by that point in the football game, and they come out on top 28-20. the final score over the New York Giants. And again, third down efficiency, the way that the Cowboys were able to move the ball on the ground, that was a couple of the big keys for the Cowboys in this one. And when we come back, we talk about the passing game and Dak Prescott, able to find a couple different guys. You saw 2 scores for Dalton Schultz. CeeDee Lamb made an impact. Michael Gallup had his best game. Talk about the passing attack when we come back.
This segment was brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys now all alone in second place in the NFC East as we welcome you back to Cowboys OT from the Star in Frisco. Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Let's take a look deeper into the passing game for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, 21 of 30, throwing the football, 261 yards, a couple touchdowns, but he did have a couple interceptions early. Let's start with the bad. We'll finish with the good. Isaiah, early in the game, couple mistakes for Dak Prescott, but he was able to kind of fight his way back from there.
Yeah, he was able to dig himself out the hole, but he definitely fell in the hole at first. Luckily, he had a shovel because the first interception was all about miscommunication. We've seen it too many times of the weeks leading up to this game as far as the miscommunications, right? Coverage calls, you know, the changing of routes, all those kind of things that have led to turnovers. And then we saw it again today where there seemingly seemed to be like a snap on a snap right here where they thought it was going to be a free play. And he went out there and simply threw the ball up and got intercepted. Now, as you go to the second interception, that to me was just a bad read. And we're seeing this too often with Dak Prescott this year where the ball was thrown versus a cover 2 man. And you know this very well, Barry. Cover 2 man, you have help over the top. The DBs are taught to sit underneath on the hip pocket of the receivers and dare the quarterback to try to throw the ball over the top. That's exactly what Dak did. He fell right into the trap, and there it was, an interception. Not on this particular play, but that's what happened. We have to continue to make better decisions, but to your point, Kyle, he did a good job bouncing back.
Yeah, he definitely bounced back out there, and this was similar to Green Bay with me. You know, when he has the opportunity to not compound issues out there. I mean, he had a couple great throws out there, but we've seen that 2-man right there. They're inviting you to throw that thing short, and you try to back shoulder it, popped up in the air. The safety was right there to get those tips and overthrows, and you know the defense, they got to get those. But Dak Prescott, like you said, battled back in that second half. Him and CeeDee Lamb had that connection going. Michael Gallup, Noah Brown, the tight ends especially, they were able to feed into it. So he battled back and ended up having a good game, but I would love to see him not compound issues. If your first option isn't there, your second option isn't there, just throw the football away and live to play another down.
It was also very encouraging to see Dak Prescott throw the football around to a number of different guys. CeeDee Lamb had a couple grabs. Gallup did. Ferguson had 3 receptions. Dalton Schultz, of course, 4 catches. 2 of those were touchdowns. And then Zeke and Pollard each had a reception in the game. Speaking of guys getting involved, that's been the story of the defense all year long. I mean, it has been every single week somebody's making an impact. This week it was Dorrance Armstrong, 8 sacks on the year for Dorrance. And then you've got, of course, Micah Parsons. He had 2 more, his 9th multi-sack game of the year. Barry, when you look at this defense, how do they slow down? How do you slow them down? Because there's a huge wanted poster for this Cowboys defense in the NFL right now.
Well, one, this defensive line, this front 7 as a whole, they're playing as a unit. Everybody out there is doing their responsibilities and not trying to do everything out there all at once. I remember one time earlier in the offseason, everybody was so sad that Randy Gregory was leaving. I mean, he was one of our best pass rushers out there. How are we going to fill that void? Here comes Dorrance Armstrong. Like you mentioned, Kyle, 8 sacks out there. This man is playing grown man football out there. This defensive line is hunting, and like we talk about it each and every week, if you fall into that trap where you get down by a couple touchdowns to this Dallas defense, it's almost impossible to come back because they're going to force you to pass the football. And when you have waves upon waves upon waves that can get after an offense, it makes things extremely hard for them out there. This defense, I mean, they're going to be heck to pay for the rest of the season, in my opinion.
I totally agree with you. The only way in which you can dominate this defense is if you are a team that is built to run the ball. Yeah. If you can't run the ball effectively, which we knew the New York Giants were not going to be able to do today because of their battered offensive line, then you find yourself in a predicament. There's going to be at some point in the game where you're behind the 8 ball, and now Micah Parsons, Dorrance Armstrong, D-Law, Sam Williams, everybody else down the line, there's about 10 more guys that can rush the quarterback. They are now hype and they're ready, right? You got guys sitting on the sideline, they're jumping up and down, they're giddy because they're hoping for their opportunity to go in there and get the next sack. You saw Micah Parsons pick up 2 more. You saw Dorrance Armstrong pick up 1. Micah Parsons had a couple more TFLs as well. These guys are balling out when your back is against the wall and you have to throw that thing out of it.
How about the linebacking core as well? Leighton Vander Esch with 8 combined tackles. Damone Clark had 7 of them. 6 of those were solo tackles for Damone Clark, filling in for Anthony Barr, who was inactive today with a hamstring injury. So having a couple guys step up in that second level, of course, makes your guys up front play much more free and much more pin their ears back, getting after the quarterback. The Cowboys defense did that today. When we come back on Cowboys OT, we take a look into the locker room at AT&T Stadium. It's a happy one after a 28-20 win over the Giants. Welcome back into Cowboys OT from the Star in Frisco. Let's go back out to AT&T Stadium and hear from Ezekiel Elliott, nearly with 100 yards on the ground, but still a great day for Zeke with 92 yards.
Zeke, I don't know if it was the offensive line or if it was your burst, but it seemed like the running game was on point from start to finish.
I think it's a combination of everything, man. We had a great plan. Kellen and Coach Philbin put together a great plan. O-line did a hell of a job executing the plan, and even on one of them plays, I got a little extra help from my quarterback, man. That's funny. He's been telling me the past couple of weeks. He's like, yeah, on that play, you bring it all the way back. There's you got a lead blocker in me. So I held him up to that today.
He's feeling good. I don't know if you knew this or not, but Dak has now beaten the Giants 10 straight times, tying Roger's stop out.
Wow. Yeah. It make a lot of sense. We've had a lot of success in our division, in our career. But right now, we're a couple games behind the Eagles, so today definitely helped one step forward into trying to challenge for that division title. But we still got some work to do.
Real quick, the tight ends decided to do a Thanksgiving kettle celebration. Can you comment on their celebration in the kettle? In other words, you did it a few years ago, but they kind of did a multiple dance thing.
I definitely, I gotta give them their props, man. They topped me. They topped my kettle celebrations. I'm a little jealous. They didn't let me in on it, but love those tight ends. We got a hell of a tight end room. All four of them playing great ball, and yeah.
Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you. Halftime, it was very focused. We knew that we didn't play our best ball in the first half. We played our.
So we'll hear more from the locker room in just a couple moments. Ezekiel Elliott, of course, happy with the win, but we are now joined live from AT&T Stadium with Micah Parsons. Another multi-sack game for Micah. Micah, first off, thanks for taking some time and give us your thoughts on the win, 28-20 over the Giants.
Great win, great team win. We want to go back to the drawing board, clean up some mistakes, and just get better and, get ready for next week.
Now, after the second sack, of course, did you know that it was another multi-sack game? Is that really kind of a goal for you early on in trying to get a couple opportunities at taking down an opposing quarterback?
I feel like the goal is always to have, multiple sacks in the game, especially when the ops is there, and just take advantage of my opportunities. But, I just always believe in if you get one, you got to get second. So I was able to get seconds, a couple times this year.
Seconds on Thanksgiving kind of goes hand in hand sometimes, too. So you got your second serving there of quarterback and a sack, of course. Now, how fun has it been over these last couple weeks of playing with this defense, overcoming a little bit of adversity, but still finding success out of that unit?
It's been extremely fun because there's passion and there's love in the part of getting better. Understanding that, not everything's going to be perfect. Understanding that, you're going to face trials and tribulations, and then overcoming them trials and tribulations, that's always the best part. And when it shows out there on Sundays, it's nothing better. So it's been great being here with the guys. Nothing but love, and, everyone's just going to keep eating.
Where are some of the places that need to be improved on that defensive end? Because everything looked solid again today.
Oh, yeah. What you say?
What are some of the places that you can clean up stuff on the defensive side of the football?
Like I said, we're just going to continue stopping the run. Nobody's going to let us pass rush, so we're just going to keep stopping the run, setting edges, and flying to the ball, and make teams drop back and let us eat.
Now, of course, seeing the tight end celebration in the kettle, the whack-a-mole, the whack-a-tight end that happened on that final touchdown, does that give you any inspiration for if you were to score another defensive touchdown at some point this season?
Yeah, I'm working on my celebrations ASAP. I'm not going to keep getting outshone. When I had my touchdown, I obviously didn't know what to do. I wasn't prepared for the moment, but I will be now.
That's awesome. Micah, I know you're a competitive guy, so you're going to have to one-up the whack-a-mole. You're going to have to get somewhere with that, find something to do. Micah Parsons joining us here on Cowboys OT. Micah, thanks so much for taking some time, and great job today.
Yes, thank you, sir.
There he goes, Micah Parsons. As we wrap things up here on this segment of OT, when we come back, we'll hear from head coach Mike McCarthy after the 28-20 win over the New York Giants. Welcome back into Cowboys OT from the Star in Frisco. Kyle Yeoman's back with you. Let's go back out to AT&T Stadium. Hear from head coach Mike McCarthy as he takes the podium following a 28-20 win over the Giants.
David.
Mike.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Yeah.
David Moore, Dallas Morning News. Understanding you only look one game at a time, but this ends a stretch of 3 games in 12 days. Can you talk about how you responded after losing that first game today and just how you come back and finish this off here?
Well, I mean, it obviously 3 different opportunities. You know, the first one, losing in overtime, and then, probably playing our best game of the year last week or 4 days ago. And just really, getting ready for this game was a challenge. And I'm obviously New York was, just, from what it sounds like, obviously a number of guys they left home, but we had a half a dozen or so guys that were fighting through an illness, and and it's important for us to get healthy over the weekend and really all the way up till Wednesday. So so we'll look at some Zoom calls and things like that for next week, because it's it's a flu and cold season, and we were hit pretty good the last couple of days. So just obviously proud of the team for getting it done today. Division game, a lot of back and forth. And I know we're going to get into it, but to win a game when you have 2-1 penalties of your opponent, that's obviously not where you want to be. But I think it speaks to our ability or our capability as a team. So the penalties, particularly you had the holdings, both on both sides of the ball, and you just go back through it. I thought, the halftime was good as far as the adjustments. I liked the way we came out of halftime, but it's the self-inflicted wounds we need to minimize, and you obviously want to eliminate them, but we first thing we got to do is cut it in half. I mean, we played the Giants twice, and I think we had 11 penalties the first game, 13 today. I mean, that's just so we'll take a hard look at it as a staff, but excellent division win, game we had to have, and I love the fight of the team, and really tried to break their method. And one of the things I'm talking about is controlling the ball was a big focus for us today, and I thought Kellen did a really good job staying patient. I thought Dan stayed aggressive, so a lot of good things, but just the self-inflicted wounds we gotta improve and learn from today's mistakes.
Tim Calishaw, Dallas Morning News. Happy Thanksgiving also.
Thank you.
Did you put 4 tight ends on the goal line just so they could play whack-a-mole in the after the touchdown? Is that by design? And more seriously, you have a lot of success with 3 tight end sets, and nobody else really does that. Can you talk about that?
Oh, I love the multiple tight end sets because it gives you the ability to play 2 back, 1 back, or no backs, offense, and that's really how I look at offense. And just the wrinkles that we're able to do off of that too. Obviously the jet sweep to Henny there was a good play, especially after they packed it in on us on the early 4th down on the 93 ISO. So. Yeah, it gives you flexibility. If you go back to earlier in the season, we were playing with 21 players on offense, and we only had 3 tight ends up. So, really getting Sean McKeon up every week has been huge for us because we can alternate those guys. And as you know, the body type for special teams, that's what you're looking for. You can't have enough 6'4", 250-pound men on your football team because it creates favorable matchups in special teams too. So I'm a big fan of the tight end position because frankly, next to the quarterback, it's the most demanding position as far as job responsibility. If is their involvement in the run, the protection, and the pass. So it's been very ususeful for us this past month.
One more tight end question. Did you have a good view of Ferguson jumping over the safety?
I was just teasing him in the locker room because I had a great view of it. And I said the only reason why I didn't try to jump over the first guy, he was so damn tired, or the second guy was so damn tired from jumping over the first guy. So, but no, it's, yeah, you get away with that once or twice, but yeah, so he needs to drop his pads more. So.
Mike, you mentioned in your opening answer just about the halftime adjustments. You had a little extra time because of the halftime show today. Can you talk about some of the adjustments, and some of it was it guys fighting through the illness and that little extra time helped at all?
Yeah, I thought the rotation was really good. I mean, and I can go back to what I just said in the earlier comment was the ability to we knew they were going through challenges too with their with their numbers and their players, coming into it. So, time of possession was a real focal point, and they've been very, very good in that area. I mean, you look at their production throughout the season. They've done an excellent job of holding the ball and controlling the clock, and and winning tight games in the fourth quarter. So, we're comfortable, slugging it out to the fourth quarter, and you have to be if you're going to play that kind of game. But, we just felt time of possession was key, was going to be a key characteristic to this victory today.
Elwin Henderson, Gilmer Mirror, and Coach, first off, happy Thanksgiving and congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
Your thoughts on Dalton Schultz's performance today, as well as C.D. Lamb's? Fantastic job by both those guys.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously with the attention we're getting in the run game, we know we're going to have some opportunities to have one-on-ones, and CD made some huge plays, down the field, people all over him. So I just think it shows his athletic play. I thought it was a tremendous effort on the no catch that we challenged for a possible touchdown, because I didn't have a clean view of it just based off the information, so I really wasn't sure if he did get the heel down or not, but I did know that he had the front part of his foot in based on what we saw up top. So and Dalton is just and he's just such a steady consistent. You can see the connection between him and Dak. So both those guys had nice games today.
Anybody else? David?
Mike, how did you have to, with so many guys, especially in the defensive line, how big of an alteration did you have with your rotation and what you were doing on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, we're just trying to roll those guys and keep them fresh. Because we had a couple decisions that we went up to the 90, So until every player arrived here, and they did a great job of getting here a little extra early today. So just to make sure the medical staff and they'd had a chance for potential IVs and all those things. So, but yeah, the rotation. Going back to the time of possession, with the offense, controlling the ball in the run game, I think it definitely really helped us in our rotation, particularly on the defensive line.
Dak in the second half too, like I said, much crisper it seemed in the second half than in the first.
Yeah, I mean, we had some opportunities there early. I mean, if you look at that, that first series, you had to, had two big play opportunities, that we didn't hit, and the thing I always talk about, to the team is, big play opportunities. If you're looking at every game just based off the, the variables that we look at as far as what determines a big play, there's usually right around 30 opportunities for big plays in the game. And right at halftime, they were 8 and we were 7, so we were -1 in that area. So I mean, you give them credit that had the big long ball catch there. It was a hell of a play. So it was good coverage, and that's the NFL. So I just think our ability to run the football and just stay focused, keep taking our shots, and in all three phases, we felt confident that we were going to come out on the right end of this thing. So, and I think our players really do a great job of staying present, staying in the moment, just really focusing on. I mean, we talked a lot about focus and discipline because it's a division game. It was chippy up here in the Monday night game last time we played these guys, and it obviously was there at the end. So, but yeah. Really thrilled with the victory. So proud of the team and everything. But we have a clear view of the things we need to work on. That's definitely, as we know, the penalties.
So back here on Cowboys OT, you can catch the entire Mike McCarthy press conference on DallasCowboys.com. Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback. And when we look at this Cowboys team, and early in the season, the credit was going to Mike McCarthy because of the way that they overcame adversity with Cooper Rush at quarterback and without Dak Prescott. Now this team seemingly is back to full strength, and then, oh my goodness, here comes an illness in the middle of the week, a slow start in the first half, but then halftime adjustments and showing some tenacity in the second half allowed for this Cowboys team to have success, 28-20 over the Giants. So, Isaiah, based on the halftime adjustments you saw, how much credit needs to go to Mike McCarthy for the win?
I think these guys have shown consistency in that regard all year long. This has been a second-half team, if you really think about it. Dallas hasn't necessarily got out to fast starts. As a matter of fact, they've gotten out to slow starts offensively. So in the second half, after having an interception, they were able to bounce back and come out and go bang, bang, touchdown, touchdown on their first couple possessions. And that's exactly what you have to do, especially when you're facing a divisional opponent like the Giants.
You know, what I feel is Kellum likes to get out there. And early in the game, it cost him two interceptions. I mean, not Kellum's fault. It's your quarterback and your receiver's fault, but it cost him 2 interceptions. I think Coach McCarthy goes in at halftime, sees the adjustments need to be made, gets with his coordinators, both of them, and say, hey, this is what we need to do. And along the line, we're gonna implement Zeke, and we're gonna implement Tony, and we're gonna take big shots down the field, because the secret of this thing is the 34-plus minutes that they had. Time of possession is what gives that defense fresh legs at the end. He talked about it over and over, just the time of possession for each game. 3 games and 12 days, that's hard on the team. And the offensive line always have to carry that burden of making sure that everything is protected.
And it really looked like early on the offense didn't have that rhythm. They weren't necessarily getting into that extra drive downhill mode, and you didn't see that until the third quarter. So is this defense showing again that they are good enough, they are talented enough to keep you within striking distance? Because again, they only were down 13-7 at one point. That's a 6-point lead. That's the second largest deficit they've come back from this season. So they haven't gotten down by much because of the defense. But did they show again why that's what your identity is as a football team?
That's who they are. I mean, if you give them opportunity early in the game, they're going to hold you to 3. They're going to hold you to 0. And you give them that opportunity. And once that offense get to clicking, you return that by holding on to that ball so they can be fresh and so they can get out to the quarterback. And they played well because our offense was asleep during the first half.
Yeah, they were sleepy Smurfs out there for sure. But there's only a couple offenses in this entire league that can actually go out there and light up the scoreboard against this Dallas defense. I think even has a remote chance of doing so, regardless of how many weapons that we have defensively. And those teams are not even in the NFC. So I think that most teams that we're going to continue to face, we're going to have the opportunity to be able to hold them to lower points, because we already talked about in the pregame show, Dallas is number 1 in the league in terms of points allowed, 16.7 points allowed per game. So when you have a defense that's giving your offense that opportunity, you're now just waiting on that complementary side of the offense to go ahead and put up some points to help you out.
Yeah, 12 days, 3 games. The Cowboys finished that stretch 2-1. I think you'll take that any chance, and a win over a divisional foe with New York today, putting them into second place in the division. When we come back, we hear from Mr. 2-touchdown Dalton Schultz, and he jumped into a kettle or something like that. When we come back on Cowboys OT. 2 touchdowns for Dalton Schultz and a kettle jump in the win over the New York Giants. 28-20 was the final score, and it was his 3rd multi-touchdown game of his career. Here's what the tight end had to say following the win.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, L-Dub sets the tempo in our room. Our meetings are always engaging, always fun. We're always learning something new, and I think we have a group that complements each other's skill set really well. So to come out and have the production like we did today, it was awesome. It's good to see. Honestly, I did not. I didn't know that it was squishy either. So I was a little happy on that. Sean had a hard time getting into the bucket. Yeah.
So you guys didn't play great in the first half, but you turned it on in the second half. I mean, what happened? What clicked, do you feel like, at that point?
We just started playing together. We came in, not a whole lot changed in our game plan, but we made a couple of minute adjustments. Honestly, we kept calling basically the same stuff that we called in the first half. We were just executing at a higher level, mixing it up. I've said this from day one. I feel like, we're at our most dangerous when we're on the ball. And I think we did a good job of executing on the ball today. Yeah, I mean, I'll just say as a whole, it's a selfless group. Nobody cares who's really getting the credit right now, and you got a dangerous football team when that happens. A lot of guys playing for each other, and again, I think the execution coming out in the second half again was just at an all-time high, and that's just selfless football.
Was that a simple corner route on the first touchdown, and how big was scoring that touchdown in the flow of the game?
I mean, as big as any other play in the game, honestly. We knew that they were playing inside leverage. I don't know if they called that for me, but Dak saw the inside leverage and got to it quick, and he put it in a great spot to make a play.
Do you have any advice to tight ends about leaping over safeties?
Yeah, I would say don't, but the film would say otherwise. So.
Coaches like to say you kind of find out what your team is around Thanksgiving. How would you describe where your team is now and where it can go?
We still have so much that we can improve on. Obviously, the first half stuff we're gonna go back and watch and clean all that up. But I feel like we're just starting to get the ball rolling. And I mean, that's dangerous, especially when you get into late November, December, and your team starts hitting peaks. Like, that's really what we're playing for. We're playing against ourselves. We're playing to improve on what we've done every single week, and regardless of the score. So.
Dalton Schultz with 2 touchdowns. Jake Ferguson with 57 yards receiving. Peyton Hendershot had a rushing touchdown in this game. I mean, the tight ends are being utilized in Kellen Moore's offense. How tough is it to guard such a versatile look from so many different tight ends like that whenever you're a defender trying to go up against them?
Well, it's extremely hard to cover all those guys when they all have capabilities of beating man-to-man coverage, because you don't have enough players on the defensive side of the ball to go out there and double team each and every tight end that's out there. So it makes your defense kind of go to zone. And we know with Dak Prescott, the elite quarterback that he is, he can tear apart zones with his eyes closed. So it makes it extremely hard for defense to prepare if you don't have the guys that can man-to-man and lock up these tight ends out there. And Dak Prescott, he's doing an amazing job of getting everybody involved in the passing game.
I just like, Schultz is this blanket. I mean, he's always there at the right place to help him advance the chains. And then you got Jake Ferguson, man. He's your medium range guy. And Peyton Hendershot, he can get deep. I mean, I like the little reverse there. I like the kettle deal, man. And if we can just continue to evolve our tight ends in the game and they block versus the run, it is great.
So I got to ask, was it the best celebration you've ever seen? Was it up there?
Man, I got to say, I'll say this, it's top 3.
Top
it's
3?
Top 3.
Okay,
it's top
what about
3.
you?
Oh, man, this is the best holiday celebration I've seen.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, just help for the holidays, man. You saw Zeke told me he jealous. I'm jealous,
Zeke
too.
was like, I was bested. So keep that in mind. I mean, the tight end room is starting to become a fan favorite for a reason. Their play on the field and, of course, their antics off of it kind of working into their favor there as well. Another fan favorite, CeeDee Lamb, starting to get into a rhythm. Another 100-yard receiving game from him. We hear from him when we come back. Another productive day for CeeDee Lamb. 6 receptions, 106 yards. He didn't have a touchdown. He almost did in the back of the end zone, which would have, of course, been a huge highlight. However, here's what he had to say following the win over the New York Giants.
CeeDee, what's it say about this team, the way y'all came out in the second half and started executing the way you did?
We're preaching on resilience. I feel like that's our motto this year, and then everything about this season has been, revealing itself. So just understanding that we're always coming to battle, ready for whatever, and we got each other's back.
The last 2 games, you just seem to have found your rhythm and flow. I know before the Vikings game, you talked about how it was all mental just between you and Dak and that kind of thing. Do you feel that? Do you feel that rhythm and momentum just building week to week?
Most definitely. We still building. Honestly, I understand how late it is in the season, but I didn't have it in the first half, so we still have a couple mishaps. We for sure, we still, came out with victorious. Everything, got a couple completions and a crunch. Just understanding that it's going to be a couple not even interceptions, incompletions. We'll get it back the next drive.
We've seen you make some ridiculous catches before. Where would you put the one-hander? Where does that rate?
It ain't there yet, bro. It's not even yet now.
No, it doesn't even rate?
Nah, it don't rate.
Why not? Why not?
Because it's just like, it was difficult. Neither did it count. So I'm sick.
Down the sidelines too, just wrapping that play. Take us through that play. What happened? What you saw? Did you just immediately go one hand, or what?
To be honest, I've been getting held all night. They're holding one arm, and I understood that, and it was the same arm, the left one. So I only have my right hand. I just got to start using it.
When you saw Ferguson complete, what did you think?
I loved it. I loved that. Don't get me wrong. But he got to stay on the ground, bro. You know what I'm saying? My man just messed up his knee. He'll be all right, but good play by him.
So another 100-yard receiving game for CeeDee Lamb. We're starting to see more and more of those compound as the season goes along, and there was a lot of scrutiny, a lot of criticism around him early in the season. But, Isaiah, I'll start with you on this one. How much has he improved and opened up things on this offense over these last few weeks to allow for the passing game to be successful?
I think he stepped his game up in the run blocking, honestly. I know that's an area that most people aren't going to look towards, but if you look at majority of the big runs that have taken place this year, Tony Pollard especially, it's always CeeDee Lamb down there finishing off his blocks. And I think that unselfish play by him has really kind of spilled over into his ability now to start making these big plays. For whatever reason, it just kind of works out that way. When you start playing hard for somebody else, when the opportunities present themselves towards you, all of a sudden things start falling into your lap. And we've always known about his ability, his capabilities, and potential, but that's such a bad word in this game, potential. You want to see guys go out there and make the big plays, be the number one that everybody's expecting him to be, and you see him slowly starting to tiptoe into those steps, and you're starting to hear less and less about the Amari Coopers.
Oh, the Amari Coopers. But like we said, I mean, this guy, like as you say, is getting better and better as the weeks progress. And not only in run blocking is he getting better, but as a leader in general. I see him out there teaching those young receivers out there what to do on the routes, what to see out there in the body language. Something I had a huge issue with early on in the season when things weren't going his way. He kind of flapped around and just kind of showed up as quarterback. Now, fast forwarding, look, we see bad things happen. We see interceptions happen, bad routes. He keeps his head up. He keeps his body language great, and he's teaching these young receivers out here how to go about the game in a professional way. Hats goes off to CeeDee Lamb. He's growing as a wide receiver and as a man on the football field.
And to help the Cowboys coming on top, 28-20 over the New York Giants. When we come back, we wrap things up, tie a bow on this Thanksgiving win, and we get you ready for the Indianapolis Colts here in just over a week and a half.
The Cowboys OT was brought to you by Sleep Number. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com, trusted by millions, trusted by America's team. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.
The Dallas Cowboys send the New York Giants back up to the Northeast with their Thanksgiving leftovers and a big fat L. 28-20, the final score over the divisional rival. The Cowboys' first Thanksgiving win since 2018, and they did so by blanking the Giants until the closing seconds of the fourth quarter. Back here with Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Gentlemen, final thoughts on this win, and of course a long wait until they're back on the field at AT&T Stadium taking on the Indianapolis Colts.
Well, offensively, keep doing that formula. Lean on your ground game. I think they had 169 yards on the ground today. Let Dak Prescott be that great play-action quarterback that he is. Defensively, keep lulling these teams to sleep and put them in that trap. When you get up by a couple scores, you let your dogs eat off the edge. They get to pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. I'm expecting the same thing next week against the Colts.
Come out a little faster, a little sooner, get things going. Defense played a great first half. Offense sleepwalking, but they found themselves in the second half to get that defense fresh legs. In the end, the blueprint is set, fellas. Follow it.
Do what these young men said, and then go out there and tighten up on your penalties, all right, and tighten up on Yeah, Nate's a young man. Tighten up on your penalties, right? It's been too many. You heard Coach McCarthy talk about it, and then cut down on the turnovers. If you take care of those two categories, I guarantee you'll start blowing teams out instead of just beating them.
Yeah, they've been winning lately, and the Cowboys continue that streak alive now at 8-3 on the season. But before we go, we want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. But we're also about accountability here on Cowboys OT, and that accountability came into question during the halftime break today. And unfortunately, we caught one of our very own sleeping at halftime. Isaiah Stanback, our very own, just had to take a little bit of a nap. The Thanksgiving food got to him. The smoked mac and cheese. Oh, goodness. And so we had to take a picture. Had to get you, Isaiah, but the halftime break, I'm sure he wasn't alone. I'm sure he wasn't. That's going to do it for us here on Cowboys OT. For Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, and our entire crew. Happy Thanksgiving. The Cowboys win it 28-20 over the Giants.